back at it, guys. We are on Coalition-6 for Object 279. We have to, within 10 battles, do 75 armor-penetrating hits. And if we want to get the secondary done, which I think is really easy to do for this, we need to do 90. Now, the reason I think this is easy is there's no restriction on the primary or the secondary. So if you do 1 or 2 shots in a match, it's not going to be a wasted match for you, unlike some of the other missions that will count. But this is pretty easy to get done. And the reason it's easy to get done is we're using one of my favorite Tier 10 tanks, which is the TVP, the Tier 10 Czech medium tank. This thing is a beast if you play it correctly. It has a 4-round autoloader, and it's like a second and a half, maybe a little faster, between shots in that clip. And the reload of the clip is only about I don't know, 22 seconds or something like that. So it's really fast on reloading that clip, and it has decent mobility. The downside to this tank is just like any autoloader, you are extremely vulnerable when you're loading your clip and you have no armor in this thing. You're likely not going to bounce a shot in a given match. And shots can run wild if you're rushing your clip, and you'll see a couple examples of that. Equipment, I probably have a pretty odd equipment setup for mine, and you don't need this, but I like to put a camo net on my TVP because I don't want to be in the front lines. I want to be back a little bit, and that camo net allows me to set up and be patient and wait for tanks to cross my path. And for consumables, I always run the 2 repair kits, and then I run a small first aid. Really up to you, but I highly recommend the 2 repair kits so you can back off as you're unloading that clip if you get tracked. If you don't have the TVP, good alternatives here. We've got the Italian medium line, actually the only Italian line. Have the auto reloader, great options here across that line, and you have the AMX 50 line, the 5100, 5120, and the 50B. And even if you don't have these tanks, there's so many great autoloaders in the Coalition. You've got a lot of options, but I think the TVP is really the best option here. But there's so many good tanks to do this in Coalition. No problem fighting a tank. Now, this only took me 1 attempt. Here's the first match of what was ultimately 8 battles. I should have had it done in maybe 7, maybe even 6 battles, even with getting the secondary done. This was not a fantastic match. I got 9 hits in, I believe, here, which is tracking for completion for honors. If you don't get a good first or second round, just hit the reset button, guys. It really isn't a big deal. Nobody's going to know how many attempts you took to do this mission once you have a 279. That's all that's really going to matter. So if you need to hit the reset button. The reason I don't, this wasn't a great match. It wasn't a bad match because I did a fair amount of damage here. Tracking the honors completion, but I just, I don't want to be on the front lines this early. I don't want to be trading this much HP this early, and frankly, this position right here is so prone to artillery. I would have preferred to be a little further south, back where the FV is, or where that grill is, just doing a little early sniping, because a lot of the shots are going to come in later in the match when things have relatively been decided, and you're not brawling for the first positions. And you can see there I just got obliterated. Now, if that was an average match, this is a showcase of what the TVP can do. So this was my second match, and this really made me decide that, hey, I'm not going to hit the reset button here. You could see I'm pretty close to the front lines, but I'm not right up against a bunch of tanks. I'm using that rock to single out that lightweight there and unload my clip. Nobody headshots on me, and that's exactly what you want to see. You want to have a position where you can unload on whatever tank you're facing without taking shots from any other tanks. That's really the ideal scenario for the TVP, because you have no armor. You're not going to block shots. Right? So I'm just buying time here, unloading my clip and then reloading, and then I'm going to force myself up on that E3 there. As soon as he takes a shot, that's my signal to move. I'm going to flank him, get behind him. I know I'm going to take a shot or two here, and probably took one more shot than was necessary because of my poor driving skills, but we basically wiped out that entire front. And then I'm just got to use my my time here to snipe some tanks across the middle. And this is really why I love the camo net, because I can sit behind this bush. Nobody's going to spot me until I fire, and maybe even then they're not going to spot me. So this is why I run the camo net on this particular tank. Get that blind fire in. We're good to go. And then at this point, I'm just waiting for a little bit of visibility before I move up and go pick on the artillery, which is a great way to finish up the match here. I get 3 of my 4 shots into artillery from that clip, and then I just reload and clear out the last artillery. So here we are. We are 2 matches into this mission. We've got 10 matches to do this in, and we're at 30 some odd shots in. I had a couple good, or I had one other good match before this 4th match here. And this is an example of what you don't want to do in this tank. So it's been almost a year since I played a Grand Battle match. Haven't been playing a lot of tanks, but I got myself into a position where, again, you could see I'm on the front lines right up against enemy tanks. And more importantly, I have nowhere to go. I'm getting surrounded. I don't have a lot of support behind me. This is a disaster of a match. I think I got 5 shots in at this point. But because this is the 4th match, you know, we're over 50 of the 75 that we need. You know, we're still in a good spot. A couple matches went by, and you know, I ended up in the 8th match with 74 shots in. You could see I got the 75th there to complete the primary. But I just wrapped around the backside of this map and just unloaded on the enemy. This is such a good position to be in. You can see just the rapid damage that the TVP does getting those shots off on the clip. And you're just going to make anyone that's in front of you pay at this distance, and that's why I really love the TVP. You play it as a second line medium; it's just a dominant tank. As you saw both in this match and that the second match where I did, I think, 6k damage or something like that. And this is probably a poor strategic decision on my part. As soon as I saw that arty, I probably should have hit the arty and it just worked around that object. But the arty lit me on fire. But I don't care, because we just got our 90th shot, and it only took 8 of the 10 matches that we had. Like I said, there was a couple matches where I did pretty poorly here, so I could have got this done in 6 matches instead of 8. But it is what it is. We got it done. So the keys to getting this done are you play conservative initially. You do not want to be on the front lines. You want to be at a distance where you can safely reload, maybe use your teammates to take some of that early damage in the early spotting positions. Just hang back, get a couple shots in. And really, ideally, you're getting your 7 or 9 shots in if you're going for honors on this. Get 9 shots in before you really start to trade HP, because as the map thins out, that's really where a lot of your shots are going to come in. You can easily get 12 to 15 shots in at the tail end of the battle, even if you do nothing in the very beginning. And don't be afraid to run. You should be in a position really at all times where if you unload your clip, you're not going to get overrun by anyone, and you have a place to fall back to. And if you need to run, just run. You know, you're not here to impress anybody. You're here to get this tank, and that's all that really matters. So this one's pretty easy, guys. Just focus, conservative play, and you are good to go. Hopefully this helps, and I will see you on the next one.